answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Madmen of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is.
That's right. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, wherever you are, east, west, north, and south, south with an F, all of those, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we, folks, are the Madmen of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
For who?
And tonight, for them. It's not about us. It's about
okay.
them.
We,
It's all about them.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So what's going on right now? Say he's not looking eyes. He's sharing.
You know why I'm looking down? You know why? Because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Sharing with all the folks out in the interwebs everywhere.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because if you don't know, right now, at least at this very moment, I don't know when you're watching this, but we're doing this live.
Live and direct.
And if you see a stream going on somewhere, if you go to the Madmen of Masculinity Madmen Radio page on Facebook, you can type in a comment live. This will be a trigger alert episode here. Feel free to comment and let us know what you think. But I got to put somebody on notice. I got to put somebody on blast because
go ahead.
You know, if you come up in the comments talking smack, if you come at us sideways, you might get some sideways back. Somebody just found that out in the last 24 hours or so.
No, here's the thing, y'all. I mean, we're welcome to take any comments, but make sure you actually watch the videos. Don't just look at the title and start talking outside your neck. Make sure you know what you're talking about. It's just
always somebody
just
you can
rude,
almost like picture. You can almost picture who they are when they do that kind of stuff. They, don't even listen, have nothing. I mean, they say stuff that is complete opposite of what we said, and that kind of stuff, man, that's going to get some baby powder. That's going to get some baby powder on the hand. And if you know what that is, then
what did
then
5
it
fingers
is what it
do?
is.
Say to
So,
the face.
Slap. Hey, this is a trigger alert warning here.
Very much so.
We've been in this series about divorce and, we 3-4 weeks deep into this bad boy. And at this point, we finally making it around to talking about what our original intent was, which was the effects of divorce on men.
Yeah, the harsh effects of divorce on men and how it affects us in all areas of life. And it's something that I don't think everybody knows about.
Yeah. And so sometimes we speak 4 men, sometimes we speak 2 men. This one is kind of both. This one is 2 men and 4 men. So, as you know, we record on Mondays, 12:20 a.m. KLDC Crawford Broadcasting, and those we record those, and throughout the week they get edited, and then they broadcast live over the FCC airwaves Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. and then Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. And so then we always follow that hour-long conversation up with the Tuesday kind of short and condensed version here on the interwebs for folks out there. And so,
this is for all of our millennial ADD folks that can't do more than 30 minutes.
I can't sit for a whole hour, man. man, I needed it like 30 minutes, man. Come on, bro.
It's no TikTok. We're not doing 1-minute episodes here. This is some in-depth conversation. So anyway, getting on to the subject at hand, the harsh reality of divorce for men nowadays, especially in the United States, is rough. And is one of the things why we did the other episodes is trying to help men prior to that. And then even talking to the ladies in the 3rd episode about what you can expect afterwards. Because I know you get sold a bill of goods. It's like, oh, you go girl and you can do whatever you want. But the reality says otherwise. So this one's really about the harsh effects of divorce on men and what men need to be aware of. And maybe even the ladies and know like why sometimes that divorced man might be a little gun shy or got his walls up because he's been through the ringer and had to deal with a whole lot of things. So let's break it down for Kirk. What we want to
let's get right into it, man. Let's get right into some stats, man. You brought up some you did some research and all that kind of stuff, man. What kind of stuff did you find?
Well, I mean, of the 80% of divorces, that are filed by women, and some of those, like you pointed out, may be repeat offenders. But for men, a lot of times we just have to accept the fact that we do not have the capabilities or the skills like a lot of ladies do. We do not congregate as much. We do not speak about our emotions as much. And we have to accept the fact that of all of our strengths, heartbreak and emotional issues are not one of them. And so, as any kind of grown man nowadays, you got to have your life insurance, you got to have your car insurance. And one thing you should have is, I wouldn't say divorce insurance, but you want to have a plan. If 50% of divorces are ending in marriage, or 50% of marriages are ending in divorce nowadays, there's a high likelihood that might be you. So even if you're in the throes of loving romance in the beginning, you might want to have a plan. And the best plan we can come up with really is have a group of people around you, have friends and a group of guys that you can bounce things off of, you can talk to, so they can help you during your marriage and especially be there for you if for some reason that marriage fails.
Yeah, because there's some very real things. I think you quoted some stuff that said numerous studies have shown that men have higher risk of both mental and physical health problems following a divorce. These include greatly increased rates of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, depression, self-canceling, substance abuse, and even cancer. And man, to your point, a lot of us internalize those things. Full disclosure, I'm a two-time offender. I'm one of those people that skew that number up. They say 50%, but a lot of that 50% are the repeat offenders. And yeah, to your point, 8 or 9 out of 10 divorces are filed by the woman. And so us men tend to internalize these things. And when we internalize these things, man, we live in just that cortisol hot tub, man.
Yep.
And we have some serious, some serious health issues. I know after my first divorce, man, I was 20 some years old, man. And that's when I had to first get on blood pressure meds. I
Yeah.
mean, on top of divorce and depression and on top of everything else, man. And so, I mean, I experienced some of that physical effects of all that.
Yeah, it's something to be aware of, guys. Too. Is like it may be rough, marriage may be work, but married men live longer. Now, people always joke that men always die before their wives, kind of thing. But really, married men have a better quality of life. They have purpose. They have family to live for. They have a wife who's watching them every day, going, "You need to go get a checkup," or you need to go get a physical, whatever. And most of us single
Mhm.
guys, we just like to suck it up and be like, put some salt on it, rub
Mhm.
some dirt in the wound, and just
Mhm.
suck it up. So we don't go in and get our physicals. We don't go in and get our checkups. And we had a meeting not too long ago at the B Men meeting where guys like, I don't know the last time I've been to the doctor or I had a physical. It's like, dude, you need to go. And
Yeah.
these are the things that just little things we don't think about
Yeah.
when we go through these things and we don't have a support system of guys to talk to and we isolate and you wonder why 4 times more men self-cancel. Well, these are some of the reasons because we don't have healthy outlets to talk about these things with other men, especially healthy men who can understand it and hear what we're saying.
At the end of my second marriage, man, I had one of those dark nights of the soul. At the end of my second marriage, I was sleeping in the back of my car, man, and I would shower at the office, in the mornings, and nobody knew. I would still be in and around doing stuff. I would still be a greeter at church at the door and all kinds of stuff like that, man. But nobody knew I was sleeping in the back of my car throughout the week, man. And one of those nights, I kind of said, okay, this is it. And I had it planned out. I knew what I was going to do, and in my case, man, if it wasn't for divine intervention, I wouldn't be here right now. And I was completely alone. I was isolated. I didn't have a circle. I didn't have any. I mean, I had friends, but obviously, I didn't have anybody that I felt close enough to that I could go to and say, "Hey, man, I'm hurting, and here's what I'm thinking about, doing here tonight or tomorrow night or whatever it was." And I'm telling you, man, when you get to that, when you don't have, to your point, that assurance, that insurance, that life insurance, whatever you want to call it, that which is the people, the social circle, that's how you end up.
Yeah, and a lot of studies just bear that out that men have a harder time opening up and expressing, especially when they're hurting. And so, what we advocate for is for you to already have that group of men, already have that outlet, so that you feel more comfortable opening up, that you can have those conversations. Because especially for us guys, just being able to say out what we're thinking, just being able to say out what we're going through helps us process it. And I know we always say, ladies, they process by talking, but men do as well, especially when it comes to, pain, emotional trauma, heartbreak, things like that. And having safe guys to talk to, having somebody you can communicate with. And for you guys, be aware. And we had the experience this weekend where we got to have the amazing Corky on, join us for golf, who's been married 30 years and had lots of truth bombs to drop for us. But most marriages because why the woman files 8% more time, there's lack of communication. She knows probably 12 months in advance and has planned it out. That's why so many men feel like they're blindsided because they don't see it coming, and because of having a lack of friends, a lack of communication, a lack of opening up in the relationships or even people around. Because if you have groups of people that are healthy and you can open up to, they may forewarn you or may drop some seeds like, hey, you might want to check your wife, you might want to check in with her, you might want to maybe see a counselor or something like that, because we see things that you're obviously not seeing.
Yeah. And so, to clarify, yeah, we got paired up with a great golfing partner, Corky. It's a she. She had, at a point she mentioned that she had been married 30 years, coming up on 30 years. And so being who we are, we asked what their secret was. And in her case, she said that there was always there wasn't always times where they both wanted it, but there was always times where at least one of them wanted it. And that one was enough to get them both through. And so she gave us that wisdom. She also told us that, in her words, women know before men. She said they used to travel with a group of friends, and on one of those trips, a couple of the wives went to their husbands and said, "Yeah, this is the last trip we're having.
Ain't gonna see them again.
They won't be here the next time." And the husbands were like, "What are you talking about?" Like there was no indication, and the women knew that the woman knew that the marriage was over, and sure enough, the marriage ended. And I guess turns out that husband, after the divorce, ended up dying, alone in his apartment, and the ex-wife then at that point found him, days after he had been he had passed away. And so, prime example from a woman's perspective who had been married 30 years and had all this experience, that yeah, a lot of times guys don't know, and so we get blindsided, and we tend to carry all this inside of us.
Yeah, and if that's not a good enough example, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have had, and I know Kirk and I have both spoken about it. Guys, especially if you're living alone or you're after divorce, whatever, have this conversation with yourself. I asked myself like this one time when I was in one of my dark moments, but how long would it be before somebody knew you were gone? Like if you passed away in your apartment by yourself, how long would it be before somebody came looking for you or whatever? I mean, would it be the apartment, manager looking for the rent? Would it be work calling to find out why you didn't show up? Or would somebody actually, like a friend or a family member, actually show up within a couple days to be like, why haven't I heard from you? These are things to be aware of, because if you don't have a social circle or a group of people that you are a support system, these things can happen and do happen. And it's really sad every time it does. And we want to do our best to encourage you not to be one of those statistics.
Life is not meant to be lived alone, especially the battles that men fight. We're not meant to fight this thing alone. Navy SEALs don't go into battle alone. Rambo is fiction, right? Even the Lone Ranger had Tonto, right? So we should be living in it, and it all circles back to, again, when we go through these experiences, especially something like divorce, man, there's a unique experience that probably by far most men, way more than 51 out of 100 experience, that these experiences is stuff that, man, you can't, you cannot handle these things alone. You definitely can't handle them well. And if you try to go at it alone, man, you're going to end up with all of these health conditions, whether it be mental or physical, that you can find online, man. It's not the way we're supposed to live.
No, and it's something to be aware of as well. When we talk about the harsh realities of divorce for men, the legal system is not set up in your favor. And so one of the things we said last night is make sure you spend as much time and money as you can trying to save that marriage. If you spent this much time in it and you just gotten to that point where you're like, I don't know how to fix it, or maybe you're just not feeling the butterflies and fireworks anymore. Well, that's not a good enough reason to end this relationship, especially because for probably 9 out of 10 of us, once we get out of that marriage, the grass is not greener on the other side. So, men, you need to self-advocate. You have a group of people around to help advocate and support you, because once those papers are filed, life gets rough. I mean, Kirk can speak about this. I mean, there's a lot of narratives that aren't positive towards you. That you've got to make sure you are ready to fight the legal system to make sure your rights are upheld. I mean, there's a lot of things that are just not on our side. So you got to make sure you have a support system, people around you. Plus, you got to advocate for yourself.
And the best time to have that is before you get divorced. The best time to have all that is when you're in a healthy, happy relationship, when everything is great, everything is perfect. The best time to begin to build all that, the best time maybe even to to go through therapy or counseling or go to marriage seminars, conferences, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'll probably circle back to it at the end here, but it's my opinion, and I stand by it 100% that you should spend all of the money you got. You should sell some stuff. You should go into debt, maybe, if that's what it takes to save your marriage. Because I'm telling you, when or if you end your marriage, you're going to end up broke anyway. You're going to end up definitely one, if not both of y'all, not living in the same house anyway. You're going to have to be running up credit cards and figuring out debt and all that kind of stuff anyway. And so I would suggest you do it in the context of marriage because, because you want to go all in to do whatever you can to save that thing. And yet, by far, don't even begin to think that you're going to get divorced and you're going to go out there, you're going to get on some dating websites, and man, your social life is going to be popping, and you're going to be in the bars and the clubs, you're going to be meeting folks, you're going to be going on dates. And you ask anybody out here that's single in their 30s, 40s, 50s or above, it is rough in these streets. I'm telling you, man, it ain't for the weak. It is not for the weak. And, most people by far in the singles dating scene as adults, especially post-divorce, are not happy with the results of what it's like being out here. The grass is definitely not greener. So don't think you're going to upgrade, necessarily when I'm just going to trade this one in for a newer model. It don't always work that way. And I talk about the guy in my neighborhood, which drives the bright blue Ferrari. Now, I don't live in necessarily the hood. I don't live in a bad neighborhood, but it definitely in a Ferrari neighborhood. Townhouse community. And so every time I see that dude, I'm thinking she got the house and he kept the car. That was the deal. And so, yeah, I mean, do whatever you got to do, because I'm telling you, it is not friendly once you get on the other side of that thing. And the person that you divorce is not the person you marry. I'm going to say the woman you divorced is not the woman you married. I mean, it's a whole different person. Most cases, the guy is the same. It's just revealed over time. In other words, when she files for a divorce, the reason she filed for a divorce, she probably knew about that before they got married, but she thought it'd be okay, or she could fix it, or it'll go away, or whatever. But guys, I'm telling you, when you go through that divorce, 99 times out of 100, you're going to be like, man, I never knew she could be this vengeful. I never knew she could be this toxic. She's as toxic as Camp Lejeune water.
Yeah, that sweet loving angel that you married, that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with. Think of the opposite of that, like the complete opposite, the dark version, the evil version. Like there's the reason there's a saying that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And when she decides it's time to go, no matter, nothing you can do other than maybe if you can catch it beforehand. I mean, even something, if any of this stuff has crossed your mind, any of this stuff is triggering for you, just do a simple search. Just go on Google, why, divorce for men, or just put something like that. That's all I did. And you get things like this. When you talk about harsh realities, they often think that it's greener on the other side, or that you're just going to shake off this marriage and just start dating, everything like that. But most men, instead, they are celebrating their supposed freedom. Men often feel like abandoned children alone in the world, unable to pick up the pieces of their broken lives and carry on. Their confidence and self-esteem is undermined by divorce. While in many cases, women receive almost full custody of the children, fathers find themselves divorced from the children as well. Relentless quarrels with the ex-spouse often complicate the relationship with the children, who sometimes hold a grudge against their fathers for leaving home, feeling distance regardless of the compensation he might try to give them to maintain the position in his life. And these are things you have to be aware of, because you ended up turning into an ATM. And depending on what's going on, if you're not having an amicable divorce where you want to co-parent together and you're focusing on the children, a lot of us experience this even, we can say now as we're adults, we had these experiences with our parents divorcing where it became very uncomfortable. We felt like we were having to choose sides. If we chose one side and then switched the other side, we felt like we were betraying and being traitors. And sometimes there can be just deep grained animosity that just because of all the trauma that comes from divorce. So the problem is not the man or the woman. The problem is divorce and not taking marriage as sacred, and not taking these relationships as sacred, and taking the time and effort to fight for that. We're treating everything like commodities nowadays, and just thinking we could just throw it away and get something else that's even better. And this is not the case.
Now, let me give somebody the backhand slap out there who is saying or thinking, Jason's never been married, divorced. How he know about kids? He don't know about. Okay, let me. Whoever you are, Let me give you one of them because I done been there and done that. And let me tell you what he's saying is right. And if you talk to a dude, I mean, definitely way more than 70, 80 out of 100 are going to say, yep. Now, in my neighborhood, there are signs out here that are saying like vote out judges because they break up families or something like that. First of all, when you get into that process, men, you need to be able to advocate for yourself. The fact that you want to be in your kid's life and you want to maintain that relationship, you want to maintain, get parenting time, 50-50, push for that 50-50. And what I've heard or what I understand is, I mean, it's becoming more common unless there's some extenuating circumstances that a man can get that. I didn't know that in my first divorce. And so I ended up having, one day a week and every other weekend. And that was a toxic divorce anyway. And absolutely did my relationship with my those other two daughters suffer. Absolutely did I have a toxic divorce and a toxic relationship, and that played out through another toxic person and all these other kind of things. And absolutely did I experience, okay, nobody wants me, you don't need me, but you keep coming after my check, and I ain't never got none of them checks back in the mail. I mean, absolutely did I have somebody in the courthouse themselves tell me that they've never seen a father do some of the things I did after divorce, et cetera, all those kinds of things. Parental alienation syndrome is very, very real, where you'll go through that experience, and because of a scorned mom, the dad gets painted to be a deadbeat, and that picture gets painted of everything he's not, because she wants to make sure the narrative is in her favor so she could win the approval or the love of her kids, et cetera, not realizing that what she's doing is destroying her kids. I know I'm on a rant right now, but this is something I'm giving the backhand slap to somebody that just thought, oh, whatever. And so parental alienation is very real in terms of the mom wanting to sacrifice the relationship of the kids with their father for her own gain because of her feelings about the father. And so when you're a guy and you're experiencing that, man, that stuff is heavy, where you look at your kids out. We used to go on vacation. We used to blah, blah, blah. Now the kids don't want anything to do with you. Now the kids don't want you to be in their life at all. Now you're not even invited to stuff. Now you're the enemy when you show up. You just that dude, that extra guy that comes around every time, but at the same time, that extra guy that is forking out. This is how it feels in your mind. And so, I know I'm on a tangent, but this is a very, very, very real thing that so many men experience, and we don't get to talk about it. We don't normally talk about it, especially because we don't have a circle of guys or a guy in our life or a place to be able to safely vent these kinds of things.
Yeah, and if it comes down to that, we know there's always extenuating circumstances. Sometimes you just can't save the marriage. If that's the case and you have kids, make the kids a priority. Become the best co-parent you can be. When you get into this high school, elementary kid mindset of backstabbing and talking trash about the other parent, that you have kids together, that person's gonna be in your life for the rest of your life. So make sure as a dad you advocate for yourself. Do the best you can to make sure you're in your kid's life as much as you can be, and do your best to hold in, or at least if you have to express, do it as amicably as possible to your kids. Like, yeah, your mom and I didn't work out. She's a great person, whatever. But do not demonize the other parent to the children, because that causes it's basically mental abuse. It causes so much trauma because this child loves both of you. You are the God in their eyes. You're their parents, and that now you're fighting amongst each other, and they're just suffering from that. So as men suffering from this, you have to have that support system, because I'm going to say it like this: men need a support system, whether they're married, single, divorced, or what. You just need one. If you're married, I think you need a bigger one, because the old saying is it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I think it takes a tribe to hold together a relationship or a marriage, and you need that to help hold the marriage together, so that you have those other guys that you can hone your masculinity with, you can build your testosterone with. The ladies can go have their girl time and hone their estrogen, and you can get that polarity back. But you also need that so that you can have somebody to vent to and talk to and have these supportive conversations, because being in a relationship with one person for a long time is always hard, because you're going to get sick of each other. You're not going to know how to talk. Sometimes you just need to get out of that and go, this is what's going on with me, and I need somebody else to talk to me. Gentlemen, stop trying to do it alone. This John Wayne Lone Ranger syndrome is going to kill you.
Full disclosure, so last weekend, when we went to go play golf, first of all, I overslept, and yeah, that's a whole nother story.
That's how we met Corky, though. See, it was divinely guided.
It was all meant to be. But when we got out there, I needed to talk. I needed like a therapy session on the golf course over 9 rounds walking, right? And and I thought about it on the way there, and I just, I came with it like, hey man, I need you to keep me from running right now. Like I need to vent about some stuff, and I need you to keep me from running away from whatever it is I needed to vent about. And so to be able to have guys like that in your life, whether it's one guy, whether it's multiple guys or group of guys, I recommend at least 1 or 2 a.m. guys that you can call at 2 a.m. and it is cool. If you didn't, they'd be mad and punch you in the face. Then you need maybe some 10 p.m. guys and then some 4 p.m. guys kind of thing. But you got to have, you got to have some guy that's, if they don't hear from you in a day or two, all right, what's up? Where you at? I'm knocking on the door. I'm going to find out what the deal is. You need some guys like that will know something's out of the ordinary. Either you're not right or whatever. Like maybe you're turning to some kind of habit that you don't need to. You need some guys in your life that can recognize that stuff and that can walk you through all of these kinds of things. And this is great that next week we're going to have, and we're going to have a great resource on. Jude has not a coagulation, that's an inside joke from yesterday, a coalition, that's basically centered around guys connecting through the experience of divorce.
Yeah, he has the Advocates Coalition podcast, and this is what he does. Like we talk about the whole range of masculine topics and dealing with men and women and all that, but he solely focuses on divorce and being an advocate, and so we're gonna get lots of good information from him, and you probably hear a lot of the same things, but it's coming from the experts, so you can believe him.
Right. We don't know nothing.
We don't know a thing, but we have experience and we have the gumption to get on here and talk about it anyway. So that's what we do while we're here. And
I had somebody last night tell me, hey, you're the one that posted that stuff about, with men this and men that, and I disagree. And I was like, well, I guarantee you I know men better than you. And all she could do was turn around and walk away. Like, okay, whatever, lady, whoever, I don't even remember what her name was, but she thought it important to tell me that she disagreed with my perspective on men. And I'm like, I don't care what you disagree with. Okay. I guarantee I'm going to tell you that, that I'm speaking from a place of, I know more about at least the way guys think than you do, lady. Anyhow, sidebar.
Well, that's how people are. When I used to get into like, I want to heal the father-son relationship. They're like, oh, are you a father? It's like, no, I'm a son. Why you got to have clarification, or you got to have some sort of like degree, like, oh, I have a degree from Father-Son University, so that's why I'm doing this. This is life experience, people, and this is school of hard knocks work. So that's why we're doing this work, because number one, it's our passion, it's our purpose, but it's needed. And that's one of the things every time I tell people what we're doing, like strangers, like, oh, that's so needed. That's why we're here. So if you disagree, great. That means it triggered something. We want you to actually watch the episode. That's why I took it to some lady last night who posted with that. I could tell she just read the title and said, marriage for women is harder in so many other ways. And I was like, you didn't even watch the podcast. You don't even know what you're talking about. So that's what we ask. If you do want to comment, at least watch the podcast. At least see what we're talking about. Don't just look at the title and go, they don't know what they're talking about. How do you know? You didn't even watch.
Absolutely.
Get some information, people.
Bringing this thing in for a landing from my part, at least. Spend everything you got. Do everything you got to do to save your marriage, to save your relationship. Do whatever you got to do, because it is rough out there in these streets. If you happen to go through that experience, there are so many guys that have been through it. You need a circle of guys around you, or at least 1 or 2 core guys, but a circle of guys around you before you even get to that point. But definitely once you get to that point, you cannot, you should not, and you better not do it alone. Trust me, it ain't going to turn out good if you do.
Yeah. And if you haven't noticed, there's a war on families going on, whether it's intentional or not. I tend to believe it's intentional. But if you are going to have a relationship, if you're going to have a marriage, the best time to have marriage counseling is before you get married, and then to continue it. It's not about just trying to fix something. It's about making it the best you can. Personal development is about making you the best you can be, and looking at all of you. You're good, you're bad, you're ugly, all that stuff. And you need to be doing that before, during, and even after the relationship if it for some reason ends. But it's something you need to look at as a business. It's something you need to look at as a priority, and not just go in it, willy-nilly and say, oh, well, I got stars in my eyes and we have that star-crossed lover syndrome and she's going to be my everything. You need to find out. You need to really look at this in a serious manner, because this is your life. And one of the reasons I've been single this long is because I know how serious this is, and I've seen what happened to my parents, and I've seen what happened to friends around me. So I might be a little more gun shy than most, but at least I'm taking the steps to become aware, and that's all we want you to do. Take steps, be aware, and then take care of yourselves.
JBK, I appreciate you, man. I'm glad I got you in my life.
You.
And you one of my 2 a.m. guys, man. You'd probably be my first 2 a.m. guy I call maybe these days anyway. But I appreciate it, man. I probably owe you for all the therapy.
Hey, I appreciate you showing up. You were the only one that showed up when I was convalescent from my foot surgery, and actually came over. Didn't even ask, just came over. So these are the kind of friends we're talking about, people. You need friends that are just going to show up for you. And for you that want to show up, you don't have to know what to say. You don't have to know what to do. Just show up. That's all it is. Like after all of our conversations Sunday and everything, what came out was be present. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about your future. Be present in the moment as much as you can. We love you. We hope you will tune in. Make sure you get on YouTube, like and subscribe. And guess what? Madmen
out.
We love you. Bye.